Okay, this is your level 2, day 2 master class. We'll be doing a slightly gentler version. This might be good if you're working in a warm environment, or if you are working with a population that would dislike the intensity scale. And we will start supine today. So feel free to lie on your back in any way that is comfortable for you. Sometimes when we come to our yoga mat, maybe the back or our knees, hips, shoulders are feeling a little cranky. But lie like a starfish on our mats, legs wide, or we might like to bend our knees, bend our feet. We might like to take our hand to chest or belly or the rib cage, or into our breathing. But to feel more open, we might even like to lie in cactus arms. So it depends on how much space we have. It might be nice to turn the head side to side. Imagine you're sort of shaking out on thoughts like an Etch-a-Sketch. To close our eyes or just relax the muscles around the eyes, quieting our eyes. I can scan the body head to toe. Notice how we're feeling. We can place a hand or our minds on any body part that's not feeling 100% today. Just as a reminder to ourselves to always take care and modify any of the poses I suggest. Remembering that everything really is just a suggestion. You can think of me like a tour guide. As we go through, yes, I will guide us and offer some options, but it's our choice at the end of the day. How many times you get off the tour bus, which attractions you go to, and what you take with you. And then we may like to set an intention for our time together. And this can be anything we'd like it to be, a goal, a mindset, a word. Or for today, I'll be drawing some affirmation cards. One that I just drew was I turn every experience into an opportunity. You may like that to be our affirmation for today. I turn every experience into an opportunity. And then let's turn our awareness to our breath. Noticing the ebb and flow of our breath. A gentle breath. This is our sort of like a wave. It's on to the beach, then goes back out to sea. We're not really trying too hard to breathe. This is referred to as our tidal volume, like the wave. We might like to raise in, yeah. And we may like to create the sound of the ocean with our breath. This is sometimes called ocean breath. You may know it as Ujjayi, whisper breath, our favorite breath. So we relax the external neck muscles, but gently contract our internal throat muscles like a gentle wheeze until we can hear our breath in our ears. This is done on the inhale and the exhale. The same kind of feeling you get in the walking mirror. With the mouth closed. Feel free to keep the Ujjayi breaths going at any time during our practice together to create warmth in the body. And help bring greater awareness to our breath as well. And let's go ahead and invite some movement into the body. So from wherever we are, we might like to do a little reach, knees to chest, again from the head side just aligned, and like our legs, anything like that. And then we'll dive into our more guided poses. So from knees to chest, let's go ahead and hold just behind the right leg. We're extending the left leg. And I like to flex both feet. Press the left heel down for support. Drawing both knees to chest. Switching sides. And the left thigh, we're using our upper body strength to press the backs of our shoulders down. We still have tall posture even on the floor. And then switching or bicycling, moving up our hips forward feet. We may like to keep that side breath going as we do. Let's give it one or two more, finishing on the opposite side from where we started if we start. And then we're gathering our knees to chest again. We can go ahead and release our legs. And let's give it a few bridge flows here. Keep our arms alongside our bodies. Might feel good to tuck our shoulders blades together. With our inhale, we're lifting and expanding. With our exhale, we're releasing and controlling. Let's go through it our own perfect pace. Inhaling up, exhaling forward. And maybe we're moving our arms in the opposite direction of our hips. Give it one or two more good ones here. Seeing how our range of motion is feeling in our pelvis, neck and shoulders and back. We might like to pause at the top of this next one, holding the outer edges of our yoga mat. We can move like we're trying to rip the mat apart, pulling away to add intensity. And then as we lower down, again, inviting some movement into our bodies to release. Maybe a long stretch. Knees to chest, windshield light. And no rush to get there, but in our own time. We're rolling to one side, pressing ourselves up and walking our hands towards the top of the mat to meet in child's pose. We know child's pose is generally our recommended relaxation pose, resting hips back towards our heels. Although if it is more comfortable, we can always be coming onto our forearms or stacking fists underneath our forehead. And if we're thinking everything in moderation, brahmacharya, remembering that we can rest here at any point during even our work phase. For now, let's come up onto all fours. We'll come into a strong all fours position, either starfishing our hands or fists to wrists, pressing down into the earth to engage our base in dynamic tension. We'll move through sunbird here. So we're freeing our right knee, bringing it underneath our bodies towards our knee to nose. And then we are keeping towards the sky. as we lengthen our heart forward. So essentially it's a cat-cow with a glute kick. Here we go. Knee to nose underneath as we press into cat. Heel to sky as we lengthen into cow. Flowing back and forth a few times here. Inhaling to lengthen. And then exhaling to pull our belly up and out of the weight of our leg. Let's do one more here. We can also keep the spine in neutral if our backs are happier that way. And then we're returning to all fours. So let's reset our stability. And we've got the other side, don't we? So let's free the left knee, drawing it underneath our bodies. Inhale, heel to sky, lengthening heart forward. And then exhale, sweeping underneath. That's our pattern. Let's match breath to movement as well as we can, finding our own perfect pace. Let's find that comfortable range of motion. These warm-up poses are, if we're familiar with Wizard of Oz, Tin Woodsman, they're sort of our oil can poses. This is what helps us warm our bodies, loosening our joints, oiling us up. Let's do one more here. And then we can release. Option here, sitting back into child's, maybe shaking off our hips or moving side to side, or we're tucking our toes, lifting up into downward facing dog, as though we have a balloon attached to our tailbone and it is pulling us up to the sky. And then we can have some movements in our downward facing dog here, pedaling at our heels, shifting our hips, maybe lifting one leg at a time. Giving our heads a gentle movement. We're going to keep turning up our warm-up. Let's start to make our way to standing, walking into forward fold. We can place a deep bend in our knees. We might like to walk up our thighs and pause halfway in case any of us get a head rush like me, low blood pressure crowd. And then we're making our way all the way up to mountain when we get there. Let's inhale, circle sink to the top. And then we're exhaling, hands to heart center. Let's do that a few times more here. Options, eyes open or closed. We may like to add our Ujjayi breath as well. Noticing the range of motion in our shoulders. Let's go ahead and bring hands to heart center. And we'll take a giant step back to face the long edge of our mat, prepping for sun and moon flowers, turning whichever way makes the most sense for you in your own space, so you can receive instruction easily enough. Our toes are turned up roughly towards the top corners of our mat. Whatever a comfortable turnout is for you, if we just sort of step our feet out, probably as much as they turn out is good. Inhaling up and out into a 5-pointed star, and exhaling like we're doing a lat pull down, drawing elbows towards our ribs as we bend our knees. That's our pattern. Inhaling up, exhaling down. We love our moonflowers here, right? Warming up our inner thighs. Let's have another positive affirmation. I am safe in the universe. All life loves and supports me. Option here to turn it into sunflowers. We're adding a hip hinge at the bottom as we reach towards the earth, gathering our sunflowers. Keeping our neutral spine, kind of like a wide-legged deadlift here. My work is deeply fulfilling. Next time we're up and out in a 5-pointed star, let's pause. And then we'll meet in sun pose. Arms are parallel with the mat. And then we can draw our thumbs back for more chest expansion. And we may like to warm up our ankles here, lifting one heel at a time, or if we're brave, both heels together, already building our tapas, that inner fire. We'll release our heels, inhaling up and out, and then exhaling hands to heart center. Let's go ahead and step to the top of the mat. We'll move into chair flow. So I'll stay facing you, but you can step to the top of the mat however it makes sense. Our feet are roughly hip width apart. So if we kind of do a little march on the spot, wherever our heels land is probably perfect. We're inhaling up overhead, and then exhaling, we're taking the seat back. So we could give our toes maybe a little bit of a wiggle rather than gripping with them. Inhaling up, and then exhaling down and back. At our bottom range of motion, we should be able to see our toes. If our knees are sliding forward, let's pull them back. You might notice your glutes kick in, maybe feeling a stretch in the muscles of our bum. That's our lovely chair flow. And we have, of course, our different arm variations, honoring our range of motion in our shoulders. Maybe we prefer cactus. We may prefer hands to thighs to help us get that great shift back. Hands reaching forward. Or what I've been doing a lot lately, I think I got this from Tracy Glennon, is fingertips to shoulders to remind us, shoulders down and back, wide across our collarbones. We'll give it one more here. Beautiful. Returning to mountain pose. We are ready for our sun salutation. We'll start a little bit more modified, and then we'll add that heat. So from the top of our mat, we are inhaling up, swan diving forward. From forward fold, let's go ahead and take the right foot back into a kneeling lunge. This time through, options for hands down or maybe hands to thighs. We may like to open into cactus. We press our hands back and down. We'll start from kneeling. So from child's pose, we are inhaling forward into a kneeling plank. Using the strength in our triceps, forward, elbows to wrists. To crocodile, and then inhaling, opening our heart into cobra. Then let's just tap our thumbs to our shoulders to make sure that our hands aren't open to the up. We pull from the belly up and back. Child's pose. We'll take the right foot forward between our hands. We might have to pick it up and tilt it forward. Elongating our spine through our kneeling lunge. We can use our hands to support, or we can open our heart. So be full. Let's take our hands on either side of our foot. We're tucking our back toes. Lots of work for our front leg as we step into forward fold. And we'll keep this bend in our knees as we reverse our swan dive up to standing. And then a deep bend in our knees as we are sitting down and back into the chair. Yogi's choice, any arm position is good. You got it. All right, we inhale up, exhaling into forward fold. Let's go kneeling one more time. This time we're stepping our left foot back, dropping our left knee, lining up our front thigh, and then choosing any expression of lunge that suits our needs. We'll make our way back into child. Inhaling forward into a kneeling plank. Exhaling through crocodile, elbows to ribs. Strong back muscles. Let's press our feet down in cobra. Pull from the belly, child's pose. And then we're stepping our left foot forward, and it might take 2 steps, right? Coming into lunge. Ideally, we inhale as we elongate. And then we're exhaling to take our hands down. Strong step to the top of the mat. Reverse our swan dive and take a seat into chair. All right, we're gonna add some fire, but you know we can always stay kneeling the entire time through. Forward fold. Option for deep bend in our knees. Let's take the right foot back. Crescent lunge or high lunge. If we're feeling conventional, we can sweep our arms overhead. Inhaling. And then exhaling down and back, child's or downward facing dog. Shifting our weight forward into plank or kneeling plank. Exhaling through crocodile or kneeling crocodile. And then strong back, reach the heart forward in cobra or upward facing dog. Shifting back, down dog or child's. Alrighty, right foot between our hands. High lunge, grow tall. Inhale, we elongate. Exhale, we're strong. Stepping into forward fold, back foot to the front. Reverse our swan dive with an inhale, sit into chair with an exhale. Let's take it to the left. From our forward fold, we're stepping our left foot back into our lunge. So yes, we could keep our hands down on our thigh, heart center, cactus, overhead, anything we like. Honoring our bodies, we're stepping back, down dog or child. Inhaling forward plank or kneeling plank. Exhaling crocodile or kneeling crocodile. If we are in upward facing dog, our thighs are off the mat, we are in a hammock. Back to down dog or child. And let's step the left foot forward between our hands, climbing up our thigh into lunge. We take a deep breath up. Beautiful. Forward fold. We reverse our swan dive and sit into any expression of chair pose. Let's go one more time each side. I'm going to give us less instruction. So listening to our bodies here, we're on the right foot, knee up or down, finding lunge. Super. Taking our hands down, moving through a half series, knowing we always have the option to rest, right? When we're ready, stepping the right foot forward, some kind of lunge here. You got it. Let's make our way to standing and we'll do one more round. This time through, just we can use our Ujjayi breath as we flow. Constricting the muscles of our throat. Sometimes it's called resistance breathing. We're stepping the left foot, by the way. In case you've gotten tangled up, that's okay. So let's see if we can make our breath loud enough that you can hear it, but the person next to you can't. Left foot forward, and then when we're standing, we'll stay standing in motion. Let's have another affirmation, shall we? My income is constantly increasing. Feel free to grab a quick drink or remove any layers. It's getting hot in here. I don't know about the weather where you are, but I'm guessing it's hotter than where I am. Of course, we don't want to overdo it. From mountain, I'm going to do things a little differently. So normally, we have like a fist width between our knees in a chair, something like that. For today, let's close that space off. We're going to do a closed chair. So we're hugging our inner thighs towards one another. Often we do this wide chair because our inner thighs have to work more. So we have to consciously work our inner thighs here by drawing the legs towards one another. Sort of like our prayer hands. So let's do that. We're going to sit down into a bar stool, not a deep chair. We're going to press our hands together and then press our thighs together. I hope we feel that helps sink in our inner thighs. We can pull up through our pelvic floor a bit better, our abdominals engaged. And let's do a little twist here. Our knees are going to stay together. We're going to turn the center of our chest towards the side wall. We come back to center. Inhale to prepare. Exhale as we turn to twist the other way. And let's make this a little bit of a bigger flow. As we come back to center, please, we inhale up. And as we turn into our twist, we give ourselves a hug, turning towards the side, but let's make sure those knees are flush. One is not popping forward. Inhaling up, we twist the other way. Take a little peek at your knees. They're even. Let's go once more each side. And then this next time through, if we would like to hold a little deeper, we can. So we can all start in our mild variation. If we'd like to keep slicing our right hand across our left thigh, we can. Elongating our spine with our inhale, extending to get a little deeper. Some of us may like to do the elbow on the outside of the knee thing. We'll bring the arms to feet. It is quite a range of motion. Make sure we're breathing. Our Ujjayi breath may help us. It might be a big relief as we release up. Take a big breath in. We're ready for the other side. So into our bar stool. Double check our knees are flush. We can wrap. We can take our hand to the center of our chest for our twist. You might like to keep slicing, slicing, slicing. Inhale, spine is long. Exhale to sit. With our option to prayer or tea. But let's be satya, truthful with ourselves. Are we just breaking ourselves as far as we can go? Or are we getting some benefit of both? One more round of breath here. Let's release. We're going to inhale up and exhale into forward fold. And we're stepping back to either down dog or child, right or left, doesn't matter. Yogi's choice, we can rest or flow through our half series. All right, from downward facing dog, we can lift our right leg to create some space. We have to press down to lift our hips out of the way. Remember that balloon on our tailbone? Let it pull the pelvis up. And then we're swinging our leg underneath us, coming into lunge. We're going to keep the hands down and move into a twisted lunge. So let's take our front hand to our front knee. We're going to turn the center of the chest towards our front knee. We may like a much bigger twist. Pressing the left hand down, reaching the right fingertips up. Let's hold here one more round of breath. We'll release. Stepping back, down dog or child, yogi's choice. We can rest or flow before we take it to the other side. If we're in a down dog, we can lift that right leg high as we press down, giving ourselves more room to swing our leg through. We might also like a block underneath the right hand. Let's take left hand to left knee, long spine. Turn our hearts to our front knee. You got it. If we'd like more intensity, extending our arms to T. Less intensity, yeah, of course we could drop that back knee. My favorite quote card. It's only a thought, and our thought can be changed. Let's see if we can choose a more beneficial thought here. Let's release. Down dog or child, yogi's choice, we rest or flow. We'll go through our warrior series. From downward facing dog, let's lift the right leg to create space. We press the earth away, drawing our right foot between our hands. If we take a look at our back foot, we can place our heel down where our toes are. So look at your toes, pick your foot up, put your heel where your toes just were. That might be a nice little alignment tip. So our feet aren't on a tightrope. We have a little bit more width. From warrior one, we can inhale up. And let's come into some chest opening here. We can pause for a moment in cactus, squeeze the upper back, pull the elbows back. And then option to keep our hands open in chest expansion, so we continue to squeeze the upper back. Or of course, we can be punching down, interlacing, drawing our wrists towards one another, or wrists are neutral, rather than a harsh bend. Let's go ahead and swing open to warrior two. We can take our back foot a bit further back. And let's double check our shoulders. We can take our fingertips to our shoulders, roll them down and back. Let's check. Shoulders are right over top of our hips. Sometimes we do a little shift forward or a little bit of a twist. We want to draw a plumb line, hips underneath our shoulders. So we are in a neutral spine. As we inhale, reverse our warrior. Opening the right side of the ribs. We can double check and sneak a peek. Is our knee still over our ankle? Hopefully, yes. And we have our option to bind, or I have my strap here for side angle. So let's make our way into side angle, front forearm to front thigh. If we would like to bind, we'll take our strap in our top hand, reach it around in behind, and then if we can catch it underneath the leg, perfect. If we have no strap, can we simply cheat? Our top hand wraps around to our opposite back pocket, or maybe we can get it around our waist. And our bottom hand reaches under our thigh. We could always hold on to our pant leg as an option. Can we do a little flow, straightening into triangle, lowering into side angle. And yes, this is a lot of work. I am sweating. So we know we could come into a smaller range of motion at any point in time. And we're doing our best to revolve our torso so we are not slumping towards the floor. Okie dokie, let's bend our knee. We'll release our strap if we're still holding it. We'll take our hands to the top of the mat and we are stepping back. Yogi's choice, we rest or flow through our hack series. We'll give that one more shot on the other side. The point of power is always in the present moment. Good advice. Let's start this with present moment, fresh eyes. From downward facing dog, lifting our left to create space, stepping left foot between our hands. We're looking at our back foot. Where are our toes? Let's put our heel down where our toes just were. Climbing up our front thigh into warrior one. We start fresh. The point of power is always in the present moment. Opening into cactus, squeeze the upper back like we're showing our muscles. You got it. Coming into an open chest expansion, continue squeezing the upper back. We can interlace our fingers for chest expansion, crunching down. Let's keep the arms here as we swing open to warrior two. We can put our back foot a little further back, giving us more room to drop low. If by chance our feet are really close, that prevents us from dropping yet low. So we just do a smaller range of motion in everything. That's okay. We draw a plumb line, shoulders over hips, hands over feet. And this time as we reverse our warrior, maybe it'll help with our alignment to turn our nose towards our back hand instead. In an effort to turn and look at me over the front of the room, you might be adding a twist to this. If we turn and look at our back hand, we remove that twist, we just have a nice clean lateral flexion. Okay, we know what's coming, don't we? Our big ta-da. Let's take our front arm to our front thigh for side angle. If we want to get low, you have to bring your bum with you so we can maintain a neutral spine. So we drop our pelvis low. If we want to bind, we have our strap. We take it up, around, and in behind. What is this? Our top hand, our free hand. So technically our top hand is reaching for our opposite back pocket. Our bottom hand reaches under towards the strap, and we can use this connection to help us revolve our torso open. And then we have the option to flow, triangle to side angle. A sticky mat really, really, really helps here. If you're sliding all over the place, then we probably want to stay up in a much higher version. So we can still get a lot of the same benefit, even without a strap, by holding on to our own clothes. Okay, we bend that front knee. We'll take our hands down, stepping back. Yogi's choice, we rest or flow. I will give us the option to do that one more time. If you have a block, that may be helpful. right foot to you so I can see you. So let's lift the right foot high, step it forward, and we're climbing up into warrior one. Pausing for a moment, finding our strength and stability. I release all fears and doubts. So let's find warrior two. Adjusting as we need. I now go beyond other people's limitations and fears. Reverse warrior. As we're coming into side angle, I have the perfect living space. If we'd like to bind, top arm, up, around, and in behind, we have our strap if we need it. We can clasp if we like. Option to flow. Bound triangle for a breath. Bound side angle for a breath. My life works beautifully. Long spine. Let's have a little breather. Wide-legged forward fold. We're walking our legs towards the long edge of the mat. I trust my inner wisdom. Let's trust our inner wisdom here as we turn towards the back of the mat for warrior one with our left foot forward. Grow tall. Listening to our bodies. We are breathing, noticing how we're feeling. Opening to warrior two. Letting go of competition, judgment, and expectation. Reversing our warrior. Can we stay in the present moment? Last chance for our big ta-da. Side angle or bound side angle. Flowing through to triangle or bound triangle. If we love our bind, our top hand towards our opposite back pocket, our front hand on the inside of our thigh, aiming towards it. I prosper wherever I turn, staying active through the upper body, remembering that this is just an extension of chest expansion, right? You must be thinking, didn't she promise a more modified version of the class? Yeah, we could shorten the lever, right? We could pull way out of this. Let's take our hands down and let's have our breather again. Wide-legged forward fold. If we want the floor to come closer to us, we're bending our knees. We can press our feet away from one another. We can be starfishing our hands directly under our shoulders for support and get a long, tall spine. Every thought I think is creating my future. Inhale, elongating the spine. And exhaling, we're working in two directions, holding dynamic tension, but also finding a way to release. Let's walk our hands to the top of the mat. And yogi's choice here, we're stepping back, option to rest or flow. And if down dog is not our favorite resting pose or child's isn't our favorite, maybe we're on our forearms, interlacing our fingers, tucking our bottom pinky in to protect it, and then pressing down evenly through both pinkies and the outer edge of the hand, wrist, and forearm. We may be tucking our toes into dolphin. And in my books, dolphin wins the award for least comfortable stretch or least comfortable resting pose. So let's keep that in mind. as we choose an appropriate pose. We may like to drop the knees, more like a road cyclist here. Alrighty, we'll make our way to standing. So let's take our feet forward. We could do a deep knee bend. Making our way up to standing. Well, let's take a moment here again to reset. We could check back in with our intention, maybe a little hydration break. And then from mountain, let's take our hands to our hips. So this is going to help us figure out how to keep our hips square. We'll go ahead and step back. Let's start with the right foot back. A flat foot, halfway back into pyramid. So if we're way back into warrior one, the toe starts turning out. So we're going to step our feet close enough together that all 10 toes are pointing forward. Sometimes we talk about train tracks, our feet are on train tracks, or if you had a flashlight in each hand, your hips would point straight forward. Whereas if we're in that warrior one pose, one hip is going to be offset, right? Okay, so we square our hips. And we can, like a zombie or a sleepwalker, make sure our shoulders are square as well. Beautifully done. And let's take our hands up into a short stance warrior one. Engaging our inner warrior spirit. We're still working hard, even though we've sort of pulled back from our full range of motion. We're going to make our way into a twist. So let's take right hand to right hip. And we're going to slice our left hand across our right thigh, coming into a twist. So opposite hand to thigh. We're slicing down our thigh, turning from our hearts into what we're going to call our twisted triangle, but yeah, technically it's a twisted pyramid. You may like to keep twisting, 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 straightening the front knee, taking our left hand on the inside or outside of the right foot. If we have a block, that may make life much more enjoyable. We could stack our arms in T. We know that we could be up here, just like we were with our twisted chair, right? Small range of motion. Wherever we are, let's inhale to elongate the spine. Exhaling, we draw from the belly to twist, using our abs to push the air out of our lungs. And then we're all gonna untwist and take our hands down on either side of our front foot. Do we remember our sunbird? We engaged our glute strength. Let's get a bit of that going here. We're gonna put our body weight on our front foot. We can bend our front knee as much as we like, engaging our glutes to extend our left leg up and in behind. Of course, standing splits. Bowing heart towards front leg. Let's see if we can release some tension in our neck and shoulders. No matter what variation we're doing here, my healing is already in process. Spreading fingers and toes, pressing down to help us lift up. Let's trust ourselves to release our foot far back into a kneeling lunge here. Whew. Dropping our back knee. Let's take our hand to our heart and we're turning our heart towards our front knee. Coming into a gentle, or maybe we could call it devotional, like our yamas and niyamas, which is our yama of devotion. Let's take a deep breath in. Then we take both hands down. One more option to step back. Yogi's choice, we can rest or flow. So yes, of course, we can flow through our typical half series, or we may prefer, like a road cyclist, instead of child's pose or dolphin, instead of down dog. We're making our way forward. Coming back up to mountain and resetting. My future is glorious. Okay, let's reset with a big breath up overhead, hands to heart and hands to hips. We can start with the left. Ooh, we can start with the left foot back, squaring our hips forward. Excellent. All 10 toes forward. Might have to readjust that back heel. Although an osteopath told me we can do a 1 to 5 degree turnout. So grab your protractors. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Straightforward. Okay, what are we doing? We are peaceful warriors surveying the field of life, awakening our inner warrior spirit. Let's try to embody that in our posture. A little self-esteem, knowing we are strong from the inside out. Okay, front hand to front hip. Top arm to opposite thigh, we turn and slice. So let's avoid crumpling forward like cat. Might feel more like up dog as we come through. We can just keep slicing if we love it. So our front hand can go on the inside or outside of our front foot. We're turning our hearts towards the side wall for twisted triangle. If we have a block, that's fine. If we want to bring our arms to T, this is all good. But we know we can shorten levels, pull back from that full range of motion at any point. Just because we can go there does not mean we should go there. Let's take one more breath. And then forward folding, we are going to move both hands down because we know that standing split is coming. We're really rooting down through our hands and front foot. Strong glute as we pull up. Even if we're just standing on one foot with the back leg bent, we're getting a lot of balance work here. Yes, if we can look like a drinking bird to get forward, beautiful. We're getting back line stretch through the front leg and back line strength through the back leg. Let's see if we can trust ourselves to step far enough back to go into a kneeling lunge. We can take front hand to heart, twisting towards our front knee. And any other variation of our twisted lunge that we know and love. Inhale to elongate, exhale to pull from the belly. We're using our exhale to push the air out of our lungs. And then we're ready to step back. One more chance to rest or flow. This will be the last one for today. So it'll give us enough time to go through a couple of half series if we would like. Or do an extra pause. We're preparing for mountain 3. Okay, make our way to mountain, forward fold. We're going to reverse our forward fold, coming back into standing. Okay, the tough part is over. Let's make our way through airplane, option for warrior 2. So we can inhale up and we're going to pause partway down in our swan dive. Knees bent, pulse point. So again, depending on our flexibility, we're not going to go that far down. If you notice that once we get past maybe here, your tail starts to tuck and start to round, then that's where we're stopping. We're stopping before the back starts to round. Nobody wants to ride in an airplane that's curved. As it goes through the sky, it's probably just going to crash. Right? So let's keep our airplane straight, extending our wings back. Moving into warrior three, let's find our good side. One side probably feels more steady than the other. So let's pick our strong side, just like our sunbird and our standing split. We can extend our back leg back. Maybe we're tapping the toe. We're making our bodies into the shape of a letter T or a drinking gourd that hasn't tipped quite all the way. Since our leg is going back, we can counterbalance that with our arm going forward. We may like to have both arms going forward, out to the side to help us with our balance, cactus arms, whatever we're choosing. Let's take one more breath here. Planting our foot back down. Let's reset mountain pose. And we'll take it to the other side. Inhaling up, half the swan back forward into airplane. Imagining our necks can grow longer, stretching the crown of the head forward. Our tailbones grow longer, reaching our spine along. Shifting to our opposite foot this time. All right, let's see how we do on our second side. Technically, our first side taught our second side to be just as good as it was, so we'll see. Spreading toes, resting into the earth, extending back. Since our back leg is counterbalancing, maybe we're reaching our front arm forward. Maybe we're reaching both arms forward. Or any other variation of warrior three that we know and love. If our posture is collapsing, we could take our thumbs to our front shoulders and open the chest. Let's find that moment of flight. When you feel success, we're going to let this go. Let's release into monkey. We're coming a little bit further down. And for monkey, we know that we have that same neutral spine. Hands are on thighs, shins, or the floor. And everyone can touch the floor if we bend our knees, right? There's no special prize for getting all the way down here. We just happen to be at the bottom of the room. That's okay. But we might feel more stable if we do allow ourselves to get there. With the bend in the knees, we have greater muscular control, usually. A little easier on our joints. And then we have the option for big toe hold. So we can take our first two peace fingers, back them under our big toe, and then engaging the muscles from the big toe. We're squishing our first two fingers down. So same thing on the other side. We make a number two for level two with our fingers. Tuck under the big toe and then push the big toe down so our feet are engaged. And now we're applying even pressure so we can engage our upper body, pulling down to draw ourselves into our forward fold. We are resting belly on thighs, touching the body with the body, maybe noticing movements of digestion or breath. Let's see if we can relax and hang the head. Options for gorilla if we would like a wrist stretch. We are letting our toes go, and we can plant our hand underneath our foot. We're taking our toes right to the crease of our wrist, one at a time, on top of our hands. Again, we can be bending our knees, evenly pulling up with our upper body and pushing down with our feet. You'll probably feel the muscles of your bum kicking in. Our glutes are working here. But can we release our neck muscles, releasing our head with all of this activity going on? We're going to let all of this go, one hand at a time. Let's make our way back into child's or down dog. Having a moment to reset. We may like to come up and circle the wrists, or if you missed gorilla, we can just simply plant our hands down on the mat in front of us, or do the phalanx or balance test, backs of the wrists together, or square. Okay. All righty. Let's come on to all fours in a second. I want to show us Kapalabhati breath. So this keeps some strength and fire in our classes, even if we're maybe doing a more physically less demanding class, a less physically demanding class. But we can still be working our power center, our tapas, our inner fire. Kapalabhati, skull shining breath. It's sort of like panting like a dog, if you've ever seen it. This is sometimes how we teach it to the little kids. But there's a springing back of it. So we take a deep breath in, empty the lungs part way, and then we do little exhales through the nose. And since our exhale is so small, we get this little bounce back of an inhale. I'm gonna stand up and show you closer to the camera so that you can see. And then we will do it together with the option to do it seated or on all fours. So we inhale all the way. Exhale halfway. When we get that halfway point, we do about 20 short exhales. And I don't know if you can see that when I do this, there's this little bounce back. So I'm not doing an inhale, just an exhale. Did you ever, when you were a kid, push on the dog while it was lying on its side? Maybe just me. And it would just do this little puff out, and then we could feel the breath in. I just noticed Kim a long time ago, I think, said you can't hear me very well. How has the audio been? Okay, we're following along well enough. Okay, thank goodness. Okay, so we're gonna do that push out, and there's this little spring back. I like to picture the diaphragm. Often we talk about breathing like a balloon. I like to picture the diaphragm more like a trampoline while we do our Kapalabhati. Okay, here we go. Option to do it seated, or might be easier to do it on all fours. We'll do it a couple times so you can try both ways. All right, so if you're gonna go with me, I'm gonna go on all fours to start. We inhale all the way, exhale halfway, and then 20 little puffs. All right, last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And they're pretty quick. Often people will clap to keep time while we do it. Let's try once more like this. Big breath in. Let some of the air go. 20 little puffs. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Yogi's choice. If we want to try it again, either seated or all fours, the opposite of what you just did, let's go ahead and do that. Comfortable seat. When we do it again, we might like to take our fingertips to our solar plexus area, because these are the muscles that we're working. This is our third chakra that we'll learn about in level 3. We take a big breath in, release some of it, 20 quick puffs. Let's try one more time. Refreshing breath. Release half. 20 times. A real workout for our abs. How many of us could feel that kind of bouncing sensation or that spring back? Some of us? Okay, beautiful. Yeah, often when we first start, it's not as springy, but then the spring builds in time. Alrighty, since we've been kind of sitting here, let's just work moving our legs. We'll come to lie on our bellies. And then we might like to shake our legs off or windshield wipe them. Circle the ankles. We did a lot of forward folding. Let's balance it out with some back bending. We'll come into locust. So often our recommendation for locust is to press the feet together like we did with twisted chair. And then press the feet down to begin. So we'll actually start lifting through Cobra. We can take our thumbs to our shoulders or fingertips to our shoulders to remind ourselves to keep chest expansion as we lift up. Making sure we're still breathing. We might notice our abs working more now that we just did that Kapalabhati. We can extend fingertips beside our back pockets. And then we can lift one leg or both. And it'll tell us at the halfway point if you want to do just one leg at a time. There's a lot of beauty to asymmetrical movement. Let's switch sides if we're doing just one. And then we'll release, listening to our backs here. As we press up and back, we may like to come into a neutral spine, or you may prefer a little cat and cow to release that back bending that we just did. Ooh. We'll come to a seated position. So let's come and start in staff. And we'll just do a couple poses here. We could always fold the mat up to have a bit more height under our behinds. We can do a little shift forward or pull our glute flesh back so that our butt bones are making more direct contact with the mat. Inhaling to elongate. We're going to move into a variation of boat. So if boat is your favorite, feel free to do maybe like a nice big ta-da. Otherwise, let's start with our posture. Pressing our fingertips down behind us to grow our spines tall. We can actually press our feet down as well. If we'd like to go further into boat, we can reach our hands again like a sleepwalker. We can have hands at heart. We're going to hold behind our thighs and lift one or both legs. And depending on how much resistance we get from our hamstrings, or maybe our back or our hips, we may be able to straighten our legs. For wide toe boat, we have to have our knees come out towards our elbows to get out of our way. We're still elongating our spines, but yes, we may be able to extend. So it's not always an issue of strength. Sometimes this is a big stretch, right? In which case, maybe we're holding further up the leg. We can hold ankles or shins. Enjoy the wobble. We know the rest is coming. Let's do one more round of breath if we can. If you fall it out, we can reset. Okay, all things in moderation. We worked. Let's rest. Coming into butterfly here. We may like that variation with the hands behind to lengthen up the spine. Or maybe we're making our hand sandwich, hinging forward into butterfly. Knowing that there's no perfect distance that our heels should be from our groin. Maybe we're resetting our hips, lifting our butterfly knees and lowering again. Softening, soothing, and releasing. I let go of all expectations. Let's release our legs again. We'll come into our new favorite from yesterday, Turkish twist. So again, we may like a little something to sit on. I just folded my mat up. Well, I've got 3 layers of mat here. Again, we can move our glute flesh out of the way. And let's start with the right leg on top. So I'm going to take my right leg across my left. This may be as far as we go. Backing our knees. We may also, remember I talked yesterday about our thigh flesh? We might actually want to pull our thigh flesh up through the middle to give our legs more space. It's not very dignified, but it helps. We can also move our calf out of the way if you feel it's getting caught. Sometimes our clothing just bunches. Okay, if we feel good with our posture here, we could tuck our other leg underneath. I find I have to lean back a bit to get it there. Good thing we did both first, getting our abs ready. And then if we feel, okay, my spine is pretty darn neutral, we're ready to twist. Inhaling to lengthen, working on this theme. We draw from the belly. We could use our Ujjayi breath, constricting our throat. We turn our chest past our front leg, closing our twist. And then we might just like to release our hands. For more strength, we could keep our thumbs touching our sternum. For more contact, touching the body with the body, yes, we could be hinging forward, thumb to thigh, elbow to thigh, thumbs to sternum, coming into our twist here. Remembering our Kapalabhati action, using our exhale to draw the abdominals towards the spine, pushing the air out of our lungs. It's a long, smooth breath. This is our Uddiyana Bandha, belly long. Or Uddiyana action, drawing our abs in. Belly button to spine, that old exhale with exertion fitness thing. Okay, sometimes it feels nice to release just to briefly move in the other direction. We come back through center. Let's see how we do on the other side. Okay, we are here, we are breathing, we are present. Left over right. Ooh. Maybe manipulating any extra flesh. Sweeping our bottom leg under. Double checking, is our posture good? We don't want to be crumpling, we want to be lengthening. Imagining here at 5'2" that I'm growing a little taller. I think I shrank this year actually when I went for my physical. I was not happy about that. Okay, we can have our posture tall. We can still have our hands on the floor as we twist, right? We did this with our twisted lunges. We don't even have to be touching anything. We could release our hands. If we'd like to hinge forward, yes, of course. But let's see how well we do aiming our thumb toward our sternum, because then that way we know we're actually twisting. If I'm just slumping forward and moving my hands towards my shoulder, I haven't actually twisted, I just moved my arms. So let's make sure we are turning from our rib cage. Reminding ourselves, I am in the process of positive change. Alrighty, let's release. Ooh. And then it might feel nice to windshield wipe the legs, back at center. And I'll offer us a more gentle variation of tabletop or inclined plank. So our tabletop is with both feet planted. We could do one foot planted, one leg straight. We could do both legs straight, or like we are sunning ourselves on the beach, we can do what I call sunbather's pose. So the same idea of a back strength pose, back line stretch. And we'll hold here. Remembering it's our mountain 3, we can hold for 10 rounds of breath, and our breathing is slowing down now. So we have lots of time to go through any of those options. So we could be sunbathing, one leg down, one leg up, in a variation of inclined plank. Both feet planted, big range of motion. Or maybe both legs straight. Lots of strength. If we wanted to keep some flow, I guess we could keep going between them. But let's see if we can pause, finding stillness in a version that feels good. shining our hearts upward. And when we are ready to lower down, we'll do one more breathing technique here. We'll come again to a comfortable seated position. And let's do a cooling nostril breath. So this is supposed to facilitate us in our winding down, but may also be helpful in physically cooling the temperature of the body. So I'm going to mirror you, and I will do it with you because it does matter which side you do. So cooling nostril breath is the left nostril, your left. I think left, light, like as in not heavy, kind of releasing, or from French, lune, meaning moon. That is how I remember. So we want to leave the left side open. So you are going to block your right nostril. This is the easy way. Inhaling up and exhaling down, simply breathing in and out through the left nostril. This is the yin side, embracing our yin qualities, softening, turning our attention inward. Going down, releasing. And this is a state of receptivity. This is often where they say we receive the benefits of our practice, or in the rest that follows the work. So let's be receptive to that. All is well in my world. If we want to get fancy, we can make like a surfer dude, thumb and pinky are open. We block the right nostril to inhale, and then block the left nostril to exhale. So inhale left, exhale right. Kind of a circular feel. Let's finish this one off here. And we'll make our way down to supine. We just have 3 poses left. This is it. We're moving into sort of our final relaxation. Again, maybe a little reset. And then we'll all meet in knees to chest. Holding behind the right thigh, extending the left, single leg to chest. And we may like our strap for this one, sorry. I hope it's close by. Should have warned us before we got here. So we'll do our hand to big toe. But if we do have the beauty of a strap, we could put it under the ball of the foot, okay? So I know a lot of us at home have just a basic, whatever. You can use anything that looks like this. If we're doing hand to big toe, we take our level 2 fingers, peace fingers to our big toe. We are not yanking on the toe. We are strengthening the bottom of the toe. The fingers are pulling down. The toe is pushing away. We're tapping it off with our thumb. This allows us to keep the pose more active. So I can be pulling down with my shoulder as I am pressing up with my foot and toe. We can do a little crunch here. Inhale to prepare. Exhale to curl up. Using our tapas, our inner fire, our solar plexus pulls in. And then as we release, we'll put our leg open to the side. in this variation of hand to big toe. We may like to counterbalance our leg going over. If you feel like you're tipping that way, we might like to extend our opposite arm out. And if it's a lot to hold on to this leg, of course we could bend it, or we can use our same hand as a kickstand, getting maybe a bit more release. We still have some dynamic tension here, pressing away, pulling in. And then we're ready to switch sides. We can release back to center. Once more, drawing knees to chest. And we may like to take nose to knee, knees to nose. Before we release, we switch sides. Holding behind the left thigh. You can press the right heel down for support. Let's flex both feet for stability. We're establishing base. Yes, of course, if we have a strap under the ball of the foot, so that our upper body is still working pulling down as we are flexing and picking up. Willow crunch here. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, drawing abdominal muscles towards the earth. And then as we release and lower down, we can open our leg out to the side. So this is where our strap usually goes a long way. Literally, because our hand and foot are so far away from each other, it can help close that long distance. Or we can reach whatever else is accessible. That may be bending the leg. Or like a happy baby. Getting the ankle, thigh, kickstanding, that works for you. Saying to ourselves, I forgive myself. I now create a wonderful new reality. I am willing to forgive. And we're ready to come back through center. Once more, we can draw knees to chest. And we have an option here for a variation of legs up the wall, waterfall. Simply extending our legs to the sky. Maybe noticing how supple the back of the legs are feeling at this point after doing all those back body stretches. Or maybe noticing our legs are shaking after all the work that we've been doing. Legs up the wall is a great one to help relieve swelling in the feet, which might be nice after we did so much standing work and then getting a lot of blood flow to the feet while working our feet a lot. Let's see if we can slow our breath down here. Big breath in and a long breath out. We'll release our feet and we might like some final movement. I seem to like a bridge at the end. We had our option for wheel yesterday. If we really wanted to do wheel. From our bridge prep, flipping our hands so our fingers can touch our shoulders. And then giving it a little heave ho, up into wheel. Knowing that bridge or bridge with chest expansion are a great alternative to that. When we are ready for stillness, option for our regular Shavasana, or if we'd like to place something under ourselves for supported fish, that's great too. We may have a block to put under, really the back of our heart center is where we want our block to support us. Lowering down, and we want our neck in a pretty neutral position. You may like to roll your yoga mat up and have it under the length of your thoracic spine and your head. I like to fold my mat up and put it underneath my back. You could have a proper bolster, but we can just use whatever's around. Knowing that life supports me. So we know we found the right spot. If the head is supported, the upper back is supported, our low back isn't over supported. So we don't want to have like a huge curve in the low back. If that happens, you just need to shimmy down a little bit. Your support is too far down your back. And then we know we found the right spot when we can sort of and release. We might like to do a literal sigh here. Big breath in, exhale out through the mouth. And let's scan the body again, noticing how we're feeling after all of that hard work. If you liked that variation of our exhale being longer than our inhale, option to do that here. So maybe we're inhaling for a count of 4, exhaling for a count of 6 or a count of 8. Getting a gentle but complete breath, and then a long breath out. This actually sends a message to the heart and brain to slow down our heart rate. So when we do a long exhale, we're sending the message to body and mind to slow it down. And I'll read us a little bit from Deborah Dell's Yamas and Niyamas on Ishvara Pranidhana, surrender. The yoga posture called Shavasana or corpse pose, or what we often call final relaxation, is a posture for practicing surrender. Putting ourselves on our backs with our arms out signifies the depth of the activity we have just participated in. It is also a practice for the ultimate surrender in life. In Shavasana, there is nothing for us to do. We are asked to just lie there, releasing any tension in our bodies, letting go of effort, and trusting that the breath will breathe us and the body will renew itself. If this sounds easy, it's not. This practice of Shavasana is one of the most important practices we can do, for it is here that we begin to learn the meaning of letting go of all the ways we physically and mentally fight with life. Ishvara Pranidhana, the jewel of surrender, presupposes that there are greater forces than ourselves at work in our lives. Ultimately, this guides us, invites us to surrender to our egos, open our hearts, and accept a higher purpose to our lives. Doug Keller uses the imagery of ice chunks to help us grasp this concept. He likens life to a stream, to flowing, and we are the chunks of ice in that stream. We're the same quality as the stream. However, we are frozen in our tensions and fears. Our practice is to melt ourselves into the relax and release of our rigid thoughts and muscles, and we can begin to flow with life. As we learn to stop fighting life, we can begin to act skillfully. Control makes us rigid and tight and narrows our perspective. Getting rid of our armor opens up a world of possibility. Contraction is a feeling of constriction, pulling in. Expansion is an opening, creating of space and wonder. When we find ourselves in contraction, we are fighting life or fearful of life. When we find ourselves in expansion, we are in the flow of surrender. Some call this moving from fear to love, or from no to yes. Surrender asks us to be strong enough to engage in each moment with integrity while being soft enough to flow with the current of life. We may like to turn our minds to how we're feeling or our intention that we set at the very beginning. Or simply just breathe here, allowing ourselves to exist and surrender. And since we are in our own homes and maybe very comfy or would like to run and get a drink or a coffee or something, as we finish our practice, we'll take a break. I'll put a timer on the screen. We'll meet back at the top of the hour. But before we do, we can place hands over heart or in prayer at heart center. Thank you so much for letting me guide you through our practice today. The light in me honors and recognizes the light in you. So we are one. Namaste. So feel free to take some time to get up if you would like. We will meet back at the top of the hour.